I want to expand on this idea of how we conduct our lives and specifically express it within a context of three spheres of influence or three spheres of existence in which we dwell. And we can defend this with a theological distillation and a theology of New Testament missions and some really great sociologic and anthropologic studies. But here they are. Okay, we've got this. We've got that defense if anybody needs it. But just bear with me. Just give me this next 3 minutes, okay? If we exist within three major spheres of relations, of influence, of habit, and of existence, and that is our family and extended family, our neighborhood. So it sounds like maybe several there, but that's one. Family, extended family, neighborhood. And second, our vocations, what takes us 8, 10, 12 hours a day, or if we're looking for work, however many hours we're looking for work, but eventually within our vocation, that is what we're doing to sustain and support our families. We have a whole network of relationships there. We have a calling and a vocation. And there are God-ordained connections that we have and opportunities to cultivate within that sphere. And then lastly, the area of just fun stuff we love to do. And people we like hanging out with because they also like what we do. Now fill in the blank here. I'll give you just some examples. Golfing, fishing, motorcycle riding, maybe more domestically stamp collecting, for the ladies sewing, collecting, whatever it might be. Politics, investing, discussions, whatever. There's areas of interest that we have natural spheres where we might have groups or clubs we're a part of. Could be it could be Lifetime Fitness, or swimming, whatever it is. So these are the three major spheres. If we look at the relationships there, begin to see them as God-ordained relationships to cultivate, and then place them within this whole discussion of being poised and ready for good works, looking for and seizing opportunities to season our speech with grace so that they're interested and ask us questions for which we can respond, as you see in Colossians, that we can behave in such a way. In Peter, we see that that they're actually ask us about the hope that's in us. We like to quote those, but we've some people, myself included, lost contact with really how that happens, because we're so involved everywhere but these spheres, and one of them can be church. That we are overly involved, not wrongly involved in church, but there are some ways we can become overly involved in church, and then we don't have time for all these relationships. So, just this past week we had an example of some friends that were, and some friends we know that are actively cultivating relationships that had to speak up to something that was a really good suggestion by somebody else in their small church. And it was, that was going to be the last night of the week. I know these people don't just keep the last night of the week so they can sit down and veg out. It's because they're cultivating relations. And if we have too much going on, we can't do that. Now, if we consider these three realms and come back to put this within the context of living missionally, then we see the relationships God's already given us there as sovereign and sustainable. When they have a question, as they grow, as they receive Christ and are drawn in, they're there in our life, and it's so natural to just stay with them. That it's just like, man, this is so, why didn't I think of that? Anyway, it's not unnatural, and it's not like we have to do follow-up after a major event and half these people don't even want to talk to you. These are natural relations of people that we might take to that event, but then we're still with them. We own it. We have them to bring. They're not coming because they saw an ad in the paper. And we own the follow-up. So we're involved right now this weekend. The reason I'm not there is because we're involved in doing that with some people. Last couple weekends ago, we had a Valentine banquet. It was several people in our home group. There was a couple couples from outside the church that were there, and it was just great. Anyway, we had time for it. Now, to do this, we have to have, now think about this, guys. We can't just do this as another silo. We have to do it as an integrated, coordinated family plan. And who do we have to have on our side? We've got to have the support of our wives and the understanding of our families, so that there's a reason everyone is a part of it. When that's done, I'm seeing it, as it's done, it creates just a natural energy, excitement, and zeal. And it breathes life into everything else. Now go back to the disciplines we covered. Prayer. We're praying for this. Of course we're praying for our family needs, but then we're praying for, somebody in my teenager's friends, or a family that has a crisis, or one of our kids know, or a family that they see my wife and I reaching out to. Our marriage. We're working on our marriage because we want it to be solid and good and enjoyable, but so that we can be healthy and strong enough to give and be a part of someone else's life. In our work, we're living work in a responsible way, that we're earning respect of our colleagues, our co-workers, and cultivating relationships with them. So we start to see this, at least if you join me, I'm starting to see it, and I'm asking you to, question this aspect. Sure, I might be missing something here, but the point of today is to bring us back to the simple power and profound centrality of personally owning the participation of the mission of the church. And it's in the natural way we conduct our lives within these major areas of life that are just the way God's ordained it and stamped us. I had a guy come up to me after a sermon that was a Harley rider. Has been a major leader in our church, was almost embarrassed. You mean, there's something redemptive about me enjoying my Harleys and hanging out with these guys that ride Harleys. He suddenly could see that there is a whole range of opportunities. It's not a waste of time. Sure, it could be self-centered, but it's not just self-centered. God has given us enjoyable things to do, and if we see that as an enjoyment given by God and add to it, that there'll be natural relationships of other people who like that God wants us to reach out to. Can you see that? I mean, you see how energizing that is? It just adds a whole dimension. Anyway, so let's come back. Let's react to this as a large group. I'd like to give us all an opportunity. You've had discussions at your tables. You've looked at some things in detail. You've heard me share some things. You may or may not agree. You might be mad about this. I don't know. But let's have a large group time where we can discuss this. And please speak up. Cautions you have as well as insights you have. And this is all connected back to the projects we heard earlier, why we're doing anything. If we're not doing something with this, most of our work is really outside of today, guys. This is a little book, Participating in the Mission of the Church, which is just a simple, you see how small, it's a 6-session study guide that pulls all these ideas together in a very quick way. It's theologically broad and then zeroes in to leading us to make a family plan for evangelism, and it contains all these ideas in between with some great outside reading, challenging, inner Socratic discussion questions, and really gets us thinking. So, thank you. I'm going to shut this off, and I'm going to have Rex or Al pick it up from here, lead this large group time, close in prayer, and I look forward to seeing you at our next meeting. God bless.